Hello and willkommen. My name is John, and today my partner Josh and I will be teaching you about Germany, more specifically the capital of Germany, Berlin. We will go over a brief history of the city, how to communicate effectively within Germany, and other general tips you should know while traveling in this country. The area that we now know as Germany was inhabited by Germanic-speaking tribes for many centuries. Berlin was established as its capital in 1237, and its name was derived from the word for bear. Thus, a bear is featured in the city's coat of arms. Berlin can be found in northeastern Germany and has a population of approximately 3.6 million. One of the most prominent historical landmarks of Berlin is the Berlin Wall. The wall was built during the Cold War to separate the communist state of East Germany from the free market state of West Germany. The wall stood for 10,316 days before being torn down in 1989, and on October 3, 1990, the East and West were reunified once again. Other sites include the Reichstag, which used to function as a parliamentary building and has survived several fires. Next is the Charlottenburg Palace, which is the largest and only palace in Berlin. It was built in 1698 and styled in the Baroque and Rococo styles. Finally, the Brandenburg Gate is a key landmark of the city, and it was built in 1971 and also functions as a symbol of division and unity. The structure and authority of Germany's government is derived from the Grundgesetz, or the country's constitution. Germany functions today as a federal republic and is headed by Chancellor Angela Merkel and President Frank-Walter Steinmeier. Much of Germany's government is based off of the UK's parliamentary system. As a whole, Germany is a primarily Christian society and features many extravagant churches such as the Kaiser Wilhelm Memorial Church seen here. Amongst the historic sites, Berlin also features modern artwork. These graffiti-style works are prominently showcased on buildings and can also be found in the East Side Gallery. Over the past few decades, German society has shifted to utilize green energy resources. In 2018, renewable resources overtook coal as the primary energy source for the first time ever. Along with the implementation of these resources, the use of bikes and the Bahnhof rather than cars are ways that Germans help make this shift possible.
When it comes to Hofstede's dimensions, the US and Germany are very similar. However, there are two key differences. One is that the long-term orientation of Germany is far higher than that of the US, and the other is that the indulgence of the US is higher than Germany's. Keeping these two differences in mind will make the transition from US culture to Germany's much smoother. Although German is the national language, many Berlin natives are multilingual. Because Germany is located in Europe, the British accent of English will be the most familiar to those who are multilingual. However, Americans should do just fine. Typically, Germans speak louder than individuals from other countries. However, this excludes the US, who on average speak louder than the Germans. When speaking in Germany, the cadence of speech can be an indication of social role. In German culture, speaking slowly and clearly is a sign of authority. And for proxemics, generally Germans converse between 3 to 4 feet apart. Nonverbals are often communicated through facial expressions.
German communication is typically direct. Germans dislike vague statements and often openly share opinions, concerns, and feelings. Body language and hand gestures are used sparingly, but facial expressions can be quite revealing. Further, physical contact, excluding a firm handshake, is rarely made with one another. Eye contact, almost to the point of staring, is also highly emphasized within German communication. Further, two American hand gestures you should avoid using while in Germany are the American OK sign, made with the index and thumb fingers, as well as the fist with the thumb in the middle. Both are symbols of obscenity.
Conducting business in Berlin can be a tricky task to someone who is foreign to the culture because of the unspoken rules that are necessary in closing the deal. However, using a little background knowledge and some prior research of Berlin's business culture, a traveling American will have no problem closing deals in Germany in no time. The first thing to know about doing business in Berlin is that both posture and punctuality are highly emphasized. Being too laid back or being late can be considered a sign of disrespect during initial meetings. It is also essential to exchange business cards during these meetings. A traveling American should always bring business cards and take time to look at those offered to them. During introductions, always greet the most senior individual first and wait to be introduced. Use firm handshakes, and men should wait for women to initiate handshakes. You should be quiet when eating in public, but business is not to be discussed over dinner. And for dress, conservative business clothing is a safe choice. However, Germans may wear flamboyant clothing. Traveling from the US to Berlin is not a difficult task for an American citizen. Many international airports offer flights to Berlin, and from New York City, it's about an 8-hour flight. However, Berlin is 6 hours ahead of New York City, so a traveler leaving from this airport should be prepared to deal with a fair amount of jet lag once they land in Berlin. Once there, managing culture shock should be relatively easy. There will be familiar business establishments as well as many multilingual individuals who will help prevent the feeling of isolation. If you wanted to call home, it's as easy as dialing 00-1 in an area code from a landline or dialing 00-1-10 from a mobile phone. When converting currency in Germany, it's important to remember that they have switched to the euro and no longer use francs. The purchasing power of US currency in Berlin is high. Food is estimated to be 42% less expensive in Berlin than it is in New York City, and transportation will be about 15% less expensive.
Germany offers many unique food options. A favorite amongst Germans is the Berliner. A Berliner is a donut made from sweet yeast dough fried in oil with a marmalade filling and is usually topped with icing or powdered sugar. Ironically, this name is used primarily outside Berlin. Real Berliners call this pastry cheap Pfannkuchen.
Finally, some current day events to consider when traveling to Berlin is that they've had a recent influx of refugees, which means they're facing their own forms of culture shock to some degree, and they've largely moved to green energy. Although Berlin's culture has some key differences from the US, an American traveling here will have no problem adapting to these and will surely have a great experience here.